When it comes to ribbon and lace, I'm a bit of a magpie, so my doll making stash is like an Aladdin's cave. I was looking through some boxes of trims for inspiration the other day and found this stunning scarlet red lace and some gorgeous brocade ribbon with sparkling gold threads running through it. So I thought it would be fun to make a doll with a fiery summery theme. For the skin fabric, I've picked out a cool neutral stone coloured cotton, which might not be what you'd expect, but I want to create a bit of a contrast against the vibrant reds and golds. I double stitch all the seams so they're nice and secure, then all the pieces need stuffing really firmly with polyester fibre and closing with ladder stitch using some strong upholstery thread. If you just found me, by the way, my name's Jo. I'm a full-time doll artist based on a narrowboat in Wales. Finding the right beads for jointing the limbs has been a bit tricky since I've been living on the water. I've had plenty of the silver tone metal beads, but they just weren't going to work with the red and gold brocade, so I was excited to find these little bronze beads on eBay. Round beads give the best range of movement, but I can't always find them large enough for the knee joints, so I have to improvise. I try to match the size of the beads as closely as possible to the width of the limbs. I'm not always able to get an exact match, but these fit quite well. I'm using Gutterman top stitch thread for all the jointing. Top stitch is a strong polyester upholstery thread. It comes in a good range of colours, so it's perfect for doll making. The arms will be attached to the body later over the clothing. The legs will be sewn directly onto the torso, but before I do that, I want to paint some boots. This is a lot easier to do before the legs are attached to the doll. I've mixed a light tan shade in acrylic paint with a bit of fabric medium to make it a bit more flexible. I'll give this a couple of coats to make sure the fabric doesn't show through. Then I'll add some laces. I thought about giving this one some pretty shoes to go with her elegant dress, but I kind of prefer the hippie-ish chunky boots and floaty dress combo. Now I can sew the legs onto the body. I anchor the thread on the torso just above the hip, then I pass it through the top of the leg. These just need one little stitch at each side to hold them in place. I want to allow for some movement so they don't need to be too tight. The stitches and knots will all be hidden under the clothing. You'll notice the head has already been attached with a button joint. My camera decided not to focus properly while I was doing that, but I'll link to another video at the end of this one that'll go into a lot more detail on the jointing techniques I use. When I'm making a doll, I like to make sure any part that's going to be visible is finished properly, so I like to include details like underwear. These little shorts are made from a bit of the same lace I'm going to use for the skirt. They're going to be fixed in place, so I'm just hand stitching around the top. This bit will be covered by the bodice of the dress, so I'm not too worried about it looking neat. As long as it's secure, that's all that matters. I love this red and gold brocade ribbon. It's just slightly too wide to sit comfortably above the hips, so I'm going to try and fold the bottom edge over and iron it, then I'll find a way to attach a lace skirt. I hope the iron doesn't melt this ribbon. That seems to be working okay. By the way, I'll put the links to the little quilting iron and some of the other tools I use in the description. Perfect. That's left a nice sharp crease and no melted ribbon at all. Because this lace is quite sheer, I think it could work well folded over and made into a double layer skirt. I'm hoping it'll be thick enough so it's not completely see-through, while still keeping a light floaty feel. This edge will be the bottom of the underskirt, so I want to get rid of this thick band to make it less bulky. Hopefully the mesh should be okay with the hem left raw, then once it's folded over it's going to be pretty much invisible. I was going to stitch this to the brocade ribbon to make a dress, but the double layer of lace is quite bulky at the top, so I think I'm going to fit them to the doll like a separate skirt and top, then see how it looks. This doll is going to be number 699, which means the next one I make will be my 700th one-of-a-kind art doll. I have a few ideas for that one already, so make sure you give this video a like and subscribe so you don't miss number 700. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'll just stitch the top and skirt together so they don't move. Then I better make a start on the face. I'm shading the eye area with Derwent Chromaflow pencils. I use the first coat to get basic shape and position right. Then I start building up layers of pigment and working it into the fabric with the blending pencil. I'm using black and dark brown for this one to get a nice dark smudgy effect around the edges of the buttons. The blending pencil helps to smooth out the edges and stops the outline looking too harsh. That'll need a couple of coats of fixative spray, so while that dries, I'll attach the arms. The arms are jointed with a couple of stitches through the beads at the top. I hide the knot under the bodice at the back, pass the thread through one shoulder, through the bead, then right through the body to the other shoulder. I go through each bead twice, then fasten the thread off under the back of the dress. That fixative is dry now, so I can do some more work on the face. I've chosen some 15mm dark brown coat buttons for the eyes. I position them in the centre of the shaded area and stitch them through to the back of the head, so they sit nice and tight to the face. These buttons have got a bit of an antique effect on the edges, so I make sure I match them up so they look like the wear is on the same edge. I'm giving her some eyeliner with Derwent line maker pens to frame the face. You would think, being a doll artist, I'd have a really steady hand, but unfortunately I do not. I'm always terrified of messing this bit up, but a magnifying lamp makes it a lot easier. The mouth is just a simple curve with a little half smile at the corner. I add a smudge of coloured pencil to the lower lip and blend with the burnisher pencil. A few finishing touches to the eyeliner, then she just needs hair. I was torn between this rust-coloured acrylic yarn and this fiery orange blend for the hair. But now I've put the rest of the doll together, I'm not convinced either of them will work. I think I actually prefer this rose gold metallic yarn, so I'm going to use that one. This is 100% acrylic, it's from the Signet Seriously Chunky Metallics range. I'm felting the full head of hair for this doll. As usual, I'm needle felting it directly to the head with the Clover pen style tool and 3 38 gauge needles. Just being really careful around the stitches and seams so I don't break any needles. I find with this yarn it's easiest to felt it in as it is, then I'll unravel it and brush it out afterwards. It should create some lovely natural looking waves. I keep adding more layers of yarn laying it in the direction I want the hair to fall until the whole scalp is covered. Now I need to unravel it all. Wow, that's quite a mane. I could leave her with hair noodles, but I want it to look a little bit more natural. So I'm going to give it a good brush and get all those excess fibres out. And yes, my trusty Monster High hairbrush is still going strong. I kind of want to clip it back on top so it looks a bit more styled and it's not falling over her face. So I'm just loosely felting it in place. Then I'll stitch a pretty bronze bead over it. I've named this little one Blaze Goldflame. If you'd like a more detailed explanation of the 3 different jointing techniques I used on this doll, you're going to want to watch the video on screen next, and I'll see you next time. Bye!